Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christy Ruffino, and I'm very honored to have today's guest, Tom Gosche, with us. Tom and I have gone back many, many years, and I can't wait to share the story about that. But I would like to first welcome Tom. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thank you. I'm doing that shy guy, the foot in front, kind of aw shy, aw shucks. Thanks. It's so nice.
Yeah, because you're so shy, huh?
I am. Very.
All right. So Tom Gosche is a business strategist dedicated to helping business owners be more profitable through customized business and financial strategy. His brand system is a process of creating and implementing effective brands, business building strategies, financial insight, and business transition success. Seeing Tom in action quickly impresses upon his attendees about his skills, knowledge, and expertise in a lighthearted, even humorous presentation. And I will absolutely say humorous. I remember one of your presentations where you had the black glasses on, like that sticks with me all the time.
Yeah, I figured out that I could do a pretty good impression of Chris Farley as the motivational speaker, Matt Foley, living in a van down by the river. And yeah, it served me well over the years. So that's been fun.
Do you still have your broken glasses?
I do. They're about 10 feet away from me at all times, it seems. So I can go put it on, but this is an audio podcast, so they'll miss out on it.
Oh, well, I think the audience can visualize what that could look like. That definitely, I honestly, that was, I don't know, 10 plus years ago. And I still remember that. It was so much fun. So I always like to start the interview with your story. And we go back many, many years. I know when we first met, you were in a networking position. I was the leader of my dynamic professional women's network, and we collaborated. You know what? Organizations that could have been competitive, we thought, hey, let's support each other. And I know networking is a big key to your success. So why don't you share the story first of how we met? And then I'd love to have you share the story of why you're so passionate about this whole crazy networking thing.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy networking things. You know, a lot of people, even my wife sometimes doesn't even understand, why do you go to after hours? How come you get up so early to go to meetings and things like that? And it's fascinating. We actually got together. I just became the executive director of BNI, Business Network International, locally here in the Chicagoland area. And I was trying to grow chapters. I was trying to grow membership. And people were telling me about this, and it was called the DuPage Women Network,
yes.
DPWN.
Gosh, that had to have been like 2004, huh?
Yeah, that was quite some time ago. And yeah, you were, I think, doing some staffing company or something, trying to grow your business, and started this networking group. So I was hearing about that, and it was for women in business. And BNI is very similar, except it's open to men and women. And, you know, then I think we met at the Carroll Stream Chamber or something like that, and put faces with names. And I think we became pretty fast friends, where, like you said, some people might think we were competitors. We were actually trying to figure out ways that we could help each other. There's enough people out there to go ahead and, grow our networks and help other people grow networks, that we could, collaborate and learn from each other. And, when you have people meeting together on a regular basis, problems occur. And my problems with some of my chapters and your problem with your chapters were similar. And I think we were able to bounce some of these ideas. And here's how I solved it. Here's how you solved it. Here's how everybody's happy. And that was really great. And we both are part of the Bob Berg fan club. I met Bob through Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, and you became fast friends with Bob Berg because of his books and The Go-Giver, the parable, the easy to read parable. And I don't even know if you know this, but when I wrote my part of Masters of Sales, Bob Berg was the chapter before mine.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And Martha Stewart was the chapter after mine.
Oh,
so
gosh. Your
I
claim
was
to
kind of
fame,
wedged.
huh?
Yeah, I was kind of wedged between a couple of legends in their own right. So that was how we kind of got together. And I think we were doing that at least quarterly, getting together for coffee and just bouncing
Yes.
ideas off of each other. And
And I didn't realize that you were new in the BNI space. I just thought, oh my gosh, I need to learn everything I can from him. And you were so willing to help and support me. And then I know we collaborated on a big event where we did bring Bob into town. And that was just so much fun because I was one of Bob's city partners. And it was just a neat experience to like blend our networks and learn from each other and make more connections and just support each other. There's no competition, I don't believe, in this world. It's just how can we collaborate?
definitely. And I guess I was the new executive director, but I had been in BNI for a bunch of years as a member. My quick story is I was selling audiovisual equipment, of all things, in the late 90s. And I read a book by Tom Hopkins, How to Master the Art of Sales. And it was just a textbook of selling. And in one chapter, he just talked about networking, finding a group of people that you can meet with on a regular basis, and you'll stop making cold calls. I was making 100 cold calls a day at the time. Hi, do you want to buy audio visual equipment? No. Okay. Hi, it was just maddening. I was invited to a BNI chapter. I was a guy that got a referral at my first meeting, and it was a fluke. I mean, it just so happened this guy knew somebody that was talking about projectors like the day before. And so I thought, all right, this works great. Not another referral for another year and a half. And
Oh my gosh.
and I learned, that's when I started to learn about power partners. I was in a group of business to consumer people, and I was selling business to business. At the time, projectors were $10,000 minimum. So you really just had to be a business person. Don Morgan was the executive director in the Chicagoland area. He understood that I was not getting referrals because I was talking about lumens and brightness and resolution.
And everybody
said,
was like, what? And they were thinking
exactly,
about their grocery lists and other things instead of paying attention to you because you were talking over a different language.
I was. He said they could probably build LCD projectors more than they can refer to you. And so he said, who do you sell to? And figured that out, and started saying, not less about lumens and brightness and more about who do you know who is the facilities manager of a large company, or who do you know who is a sales manager that's going and talking to large groups and doing that. I expanded my role by visiting other chapters because nobody else sold audiovisual equipment. And then I just learned at the feet of BNI just how to network, how to utilize what we called at the time dance cards, which are now more regularly referred to as one-on-ones. And then just inviting people to make BNI one small aspect of their networking that they can utilize on a regular basis that coincides nicely with chambers of commerce, professional organizations, and then developing your power partners. So that's my BNI story. At some point, Don was in Canada. I was in Chicago. I was thinking of starting my own consulting firm, and he said, hey, can we get the phone number to go to your phone? And then you can, direct people easily. And that was the beginning of the end of anything else. I became.
Is that how they got you hooked in? Is just asking that one simple question?
Oh yeah, just a couple of hours a week answering and returning calls is all it's going to be, and then it became a career. So
yeah,
it was well worth it.
You know what? It's funny because I was thrown, and I to get into my story too much, but I was thrown into networking because I had to, and that's what started me on my journey to create the Dynamic Professional Women's Network. But they don't teach networking in schools. They just assume that as a business person, you're supposed to know how to get out and get business. And cold calling is not the way. So how do you network in a way that's actually going to get you results? You can't just show up at a meeting or show up at a after hours or whatever and like just spew out what you do and expect people to start referring business to you or expect people to start handing you money. So I think that's what happens a lot. People go to an event and they think they can talk about what they're doing and everybody's going to want it and sign up, and that doesn't work. So it is a long-term gain. And like you mentioned, it took you another year and a half before you got that next referral, but you stuck with it and you learned the process and you were able to figure it all out.
You're right. It's a process. It's, Ivan Meisner talks about it's more about farming than hunting. You gotta, set your seeds, water it, the whole 9 yards, the whole analogy there. And that's really the key. And then knowing who your target market is, knowing how to tell that to people in a creative way that they remember it. And those memory hooks and taglines and things like that are really key, especially when you're networking, so that people can remember you. You talked about my humor. I try to incorporate that because now I sell accounting services, and I don't know if you know many accountants, but they're generally not, the boisterous type. So I need to do some of those things to kind of be remembered as that, yeah, he sells accounting. How wild is that? Let's see what we can do and see if we can talk with him about it. That's really the key, is just to kind of be memorable in a good way. And hopefully that's what I've done.
Yeah. I know you have some great wisdom that you want to share after our commercial break, but share a little bit about your story and how you got into accounting. Like, how did you go from this networking manager, right, managing all these different chapters of BNI, into this road right now? Because I know you love what you do. I know that you're very successful at it. We are in the same geographical area, and so we cross paths a lot, and we're in a lot of different communities together, and you are the go-to guy, and that just didn't happen. So how did that shift for you to become in the field you're at now?
So, well, B and I generally were morning meetings. I would generally be done with work, so to speak, around noon. One of the things I noticed in BNI is that people were putting all their eggs in the BNI basket, so they weren't really, strategically planning their business strategy outside of BNI. You still need to make some telephone calls. You got to pick up the phone. You still need to do a lot of different things, some advertising depending on your business. So I was actually helping some very professional people that are very good at what they do market themselves better by helping them write their business plans, helping them come up with their introductions and things like that. That's why I called myself a business strategist at the time. It's just a general, consultant on helping them come up with business development ideas. And then as that grew, and as I was able to do more of that along with BNI, 2008, 2009, I think we all remember some kind of recession. For a couple of years, I refused to participate in it and just kept scratching and kept going. But at some point it did, it hit me, it hit my family. And people weren't wanting to pay for this advice that they thought they could do on their own. And I understood it could be expensive to set up your marketing and things like that. So, just to get health insurance for my family for almost a year and a half, I drove a school bus here locally, and still tried to keep things going on the business strategy side of things. While doing that, I recognized that many of my clients were individual accountants, accountants that would be in a BNI group or a networking group. and they would talk about anybody is a good referral for them because everybody got to get their tax returns and everybody's got to keep track of their, revenues and expenses, and everybody. And when I got some of these accountants to kind of narrow it down, I like working with gas stations. I like working with entrepreneurs. They started growing their business that way. So here I am driving a school bus, wheels on the bus go round and round. And all I kept thinking about is where I could take it to the next level. A friend of mine who used to work at GLM doing business development contacted me because her son was going to be going to the same high school as my kids. She just wanted to get, pick my brain a little bit. We had networked in the past. She was no longer there, so I asked her about GLM, and this was the beginning of 2016. When I talked with the owners, I said, here's my way of doing things. It's all going to be through networking. And they said, go for it. If it works, great. We just want to bring in some new clients and go from there. So I took everything that I learned from basically 1997 through today, developing relationships, developing power partners, meeting with people outside and growing this business to doubling the number of new clients each year since the first year. So I started out with 2 new clients the first year, 4 the second year, 8, 16, 32, I think. And now I'm really hoping for 64, but I'm not sure about that one. That one's going to be kind of tough, but it's a fun little goal, and it's happened so far. So that's where I'm at today. It's a lot of fun. I get a little bit of freedom, and I get to work for a company that I love the accountants there. I love the owner, and we get business done for business owners that need to get this stuff done.
Great. Wow. I didn't know that you drove a school bus. I'm sure you probably didn't tell anybody at the time,
No.
but what a great story. You persevered. I believe everything happens for a reason. So you had that journey to bring you where you are now. So that's awesome. Love that. All right. We're going to take a quick break and then come back. And I know you have some great tips. We call them ninja tips that you want to share with the audience. So yeah. All right. Why spend hours networking in person and now online only to interact without ever connecting? Who wants to be even busier when our goal is simply to get more business? Since 2003, the Dynamic Professional Women's Network, aka DPWN, has established itself as the premier network for women to grow their businesses through relationship networking. With local and global members across the nation, DPWN sisters help each other prosper through collaboration, mentorship, accountability, support, wisdom, and most importantly, referral generation. To join the DPWN team, visit dpwnglobal.com. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Christy, and I'm here with Tom Gosche. And if you weren't around to hear his story, make sure you back it up, because right now he is going to share a little bit of his process and how he has able to, in just a few short years, build a very successful client base. And so how do you take your networking and translate it into customers, which translates into money in your pocket?
It's networking is amazing. If you do it correctly, it's even more amazing because it's fun. If you like that kind of stuff, if you like talking with people, if you like being out and about, it's definitely a lot of fun. But the first key that I learned is, you go to these networking meetings, you hand out 15, 20 business cards, you collect 15, 20 business cards after you're meeting somebody. It was so rare that I got even an email, saying, hey, it was nice talking with you. Let's stay in touch. Let's, if it's a potential power partner, let's get coffee or something. It was just so rare. And what's even funnier is people talk about writing a thank you note and different things like that. We have email. You could just put together a template and send it. So the first thing I started doing was just a simple, it was great seeing you at the networking event. I really enjoyed the speaker. I enjoyed our conversation. I could put in something personal about it. And then I simply said, if there's anything I could do to help you and your business, please let me know. And then I would have my signature, would have the website and things like that. I didn't say, talk to me about your accounting, talk to me about anything I could do to help you with your business. And staying in contact that way has been so beneficial. It's an excuse to get people in your database so that they then become, it can be on a newsletter and things like that. And then it's on your phone, because then it's all syncs together nowadays. So you're able to just kind of give people a call, keep their contact information. Then the referrals available out to them is much easier because it's on their phone, and just keeping people in mind. So with that,
I just want to say really quick, that is so true, because without the follow-up, what's the point of networking? Like, what's the point of getting all these business cards if they're just going to sit on your desk, or you add them in your database and you don't do anything? And so I really love to schedule out time after events. Like, this is my follow-up time. Because if you don't do that, what happens is the day's gone, and then the next day's gone, and then you forget, and then it's just, you never do it. So I believe when I schedule an event, I have to intentionally schedule follow-up time right after that to make sure that it happens. It's a part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. You don't want to do it too late. You also don't need to do it too soon. Just about when they forgot about you is a good time. 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, so maybe the next day.
There you go. The next day works, or first thing in the morning, or something like that. Or
schedule it, right?
Yeah, but definitely put it in the schedule for follow-up. The next thing that I really did was, then you have those coffee meetings. Now you can do them on Zoom, but the coffee meetings is the to get the get to know you stuff, and just having a good quality meeting there. What's a good referral for you? What do you specialize in? What is it that you love to do? And when you get to the core of their target market and what they love to do, and if they're an expert at what they're doing, you might not have a lot of referrals for them, but when you have a referral for them, it's good quality because they're so specific in their target market. And so you take those notes and you put them into your database after the meeting so that you can look it up. Financial advisors love working with accountants. Well, financial advisors have traditionally done everything. So when I can narrow it down to somebody that just loves working with that brand new college graduate, for example, that's somebody that loves working and loves doing that. And it's things that people don't think of, but that's her specialty. And now I think of her every time somebody's graduating from college, and I meet financial advisors all the time. So that's specific.
I do love that, because when people say I can help everybody, that doesn't create a light bulb moment in my head. And you want to be able to niche it down. That doesn't mean she doesn't work with other people, right? Of course, she can help everybody, but now she has a team of referral partners out there looking for those college students. And that's so critical.
It really is. The other thing that I've done is I put together a kind of a referral sheet. It's not a marketing sheet. It's not marketing GLM. We have those too that say how wonderful our accountants are, and we do all your QuickBooks and all that other stuff. This one, I think, barely even mentions accounting. It basically is 3 lines of what we do, which is we, set up a business owner's basic back office with professional business, accounting, strategy, consulting. We do as much or as little as they want, from basic QuickBooks entry to providing and analyzing financial statements regularly. We provide ideas for expense savings and for business growth. So that 3 lines explains everything that we do.
And it's more about us. It's like, what do we need? It's not about what you do, but it's about the things that we need. It's spoken in a language that people can say, hey, that's great.
Exactly. It mentions our target market, which is 0 to 30 employees, 0 to 10 million in revenue. And then probably the biggest key that I try to get people to think of is, what is something that somebody says that makes me think of you and your business? So when I'm networking on a Zoom, or, I get to do my 30-second commercial, I'll say something like, a good referral for me is any business owner that that says something like, tonight I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine and do my QuickBooks. Exactly. Get
Oh boy,
chuckles,
what
get
kind of
teasers.
result is going to happen out of that?
And it has happened. I've been on a call, and then an hour later, I get an email that says, well, I was actually just thinking tonight I should do my QuickBooks. Maybe not with wine, but tonight I should do my QuickBooks. And what they're thinking of is that person that's doing their bookkeeping, their accounting after hours. They've worked a long day, networking, selling their product, and now they've got to sit down and do all the back work. Let us do it. So that's the something that somebody says that makes me think of you and your business. I also write out an introduction so that they can copy and paste it into an email.
Ooh,
That's specific.
That's a really great tip.
It really is key. Everybody has enough trouble introducing themselves at a networking event. And now what we're asking them to do is to introduce us to their contacts. And they have a hard time talking about their business that they do all the time. So if you give them just something that they can write in there, just
Like
something
copy
simple.
and paste it, right? Like have
Yeah.
a whole sheet with all your referral partners and be able to copy and paste it into that introduction.
Exactly. So GLM is who you should talk to about basic accounting. I'd love to introduce you to Tom, who can talk to you about doing as much or as little as you want.
Oh my gosh.
Too simple, right?
Every business owner should have that little statement created for their own business.
Then the last part of my referral sheet are just the type of referral partners that tend to refer me more often.
Yep.
This is the me sheet. This is not the you sheet. So it's about me. So for accounting, especially business accounting, it's anything in commercial banking, because they got people that come to them looking for loans that their financials are not in order and they need some help. Commercial real estate, commercial business insurance, business attorneys, pretty much anything that's business to business is what it's coming down to. And then with a similar introduction to that person, Tom Gosche is with GLM and works with similar clients as you. Would you be willing to talk with him and see if you can learn to exchange referrals? Quick and simple introductions to either a referral partner or a potential client. And providing this has been, it's been huge. People have quoted it specifically in their introductions, which is fun. And people that have called me up has said, hey, you know what? I'd like to talk to you about how much or how little accounting, I need to get done. And that's exactly part of my introduction.
Wow. Yeah. So our Overcoming Mediocrity book project, we're on book number 11. And the first few books.
Congratulations. Hold on a second. Congratulations. What a great concept that is. Book 11?
11. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I remember when it was a concept in your mind while we were having coffee in Carroll Stream. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was 2000, I think, 8. I don't even know what year. No, couldn't have been 2008. Either way,
unreal.
The first couple books, the first one was a concept. The first book was, I was, begging everybody to be in it because it was new. People didn't really know what it was. They didn't understand. And then it wasn't proven. So I had this idea, but I hadn't put it together yet. Second book was a lot easier because now they saw the history, like they saw the successes that my clients had. And, but still, I was doing one book a year and I was out doing everything I could to network and connect with people. But now I've kind of done what you've done is I've provided all of my clients wording to be able to bring other people into the project. Plus, I've got a great referral program. But now I would say 90% of the women that join our book projects are referrals from our other authors. And so when you can get your business running like that, where you're getting new clients strictly by referrals, that is the goal, right? Like, how do we get to that point? And all of these tips that you're sharing are a key piece of that.
Definitely. I had one more tip. I was part of a mastermind group, and I was telling them at the beginning of me working is trying to sell accounting. Hey, I'm making 5 to 10 cold calls a day to business owners just to expand my network. And I was proud of that, mainly because that's how GLM got business in the past, is cold calling. They had cold callers, set up meetings. And one of them just quite frankly said, Tom, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm like, okay. She's like, how many people are in your database? It's a year or so in, I probably had 1,500, just from the GLM contacts alone. She's like, and how about if you spent that time calling just 5 people a day that that are your referral partners, and just have a conversation? Just call up that commercial banker, at 3 o'clock or so, and you leave a message saying, hey, it's Tom Gosche. I'm, just reminding you about any business owners that need an accountant. And then I said, I'm going to keep you in mind about, commercial loans and things like that. And if you just do that, that's all you need to do. And then they remember you. And then call the commercial realtor, say the same thing. She's like, if you do that, you'll have way more fun and you'll get way more results. And, that's one of those, Nancy Morgan, Don Morgan's wife, and BNI call them BFOs, blinding flashes of the obvious. And it was just something that I never thought of doing. And so that's what I do. And now it's a little bit more sporadic, but if I got nothing else to do, I give a call to one of my power partners, just have a conversation. If we talk business, great. If we don't talk business, that's fine too. And it's amazing. A week or so down the road, I either get a referral from them, or all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you need to talk with the person I just talked with last week about this exact same situation. Yeah. So that was huge.
Yeah. I want to shift the conversation a little bit to these power partners, because I think, and I've kind of in this new, networking, right? We all go to different levels of networking and we learn things along the way. And I've learned recently more about upstream and downstream partners. And these are people that do work with clients, and once they're done helping them solve their problem, now they have another problem and I can help them. And then my downstream partners are, now that I've helped them, now they've got their next problem, and then who do I send that person to? And so to be able to identify your upstream and downstream partners and spend your time building those relationships, right? That is the key piece, because it's a better way to build your business in a team approach, because we have more reach, more power, more results.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the upstream and downstream, but yeah, in BNI, we always thought that, the realtor was kind of the quarterback of the home buying experience. And maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was, but then it turned into the mortgage person, because people went to them first to see if they got qualified, and then they were referring out. So if you just look at that homeowner example of, inspector, insurance, attorney, things like that, who goes to who first, and, developing those relationships, because the contractors are the kind of the more downstream. I moved into the home. Who do you know that needs a fence, that can build a fence and things like that? It's the same thing in business. Accountants are kind of usually like right there in the middle, because business owners go to their accountants for the financial advice, but they also complain to their accountants about what's happening in their business. And a good accountant, a good accounting firm will turn that complaint into a referral to someone they know. So if they're complaining about health insurance prices, instead of nodding and saying, yeah, the world's coming to an end, no, you say, hey, I know some people that might be able to help you. Would you like me to introduce them to you? If they're complaining about employment issues or retaining employees, or they're complaining about their computers freezing, anything at all, an accountant is usually listening for that, and we can refer that out. The problem is not all accountants do that. They're focused more on the financials. So people that go to accountants because they're the quarterback of the whole situation, you've got to definitely, and this is for anybody that is trying to work with an accountant or an accounting firm, give them those phrase that pays. So if you hear a business owner say that they're tired of paying high costs for health insurance, they're tired of their computers freezing up, if you give them specific things, they can't help but remember you and refer you. Otherwise, you'll only get referrals when the business owner says, hey, do you know anybody that can fix my computers? And that doesn't happen very often.
No, we could talk about networking all day, but I used to have a concierge list. And so when I had this referral that I could give, I didn't just say, okay, here is this person. I would give them the whole sheet of all of my referral partners, because maybe they need their computer fixed, but now they may see other people on that list who are my people in my chapter, and they may need those resources as well. And it made me look like this great connector. And so when they had a need in the future, they would come to me and say, how can I need this or whatever. So I just believe that this whole referral process is so powerful once we learn how to play the game and do it correctly. And if we think about serving them, eventually they'll come back and throw referrals our way. And that's when it all pays off.
It's a very simple concept that Ivan Meisner mentioned a long time ago. It's giver's gain. Bob Berg took it the next step forward and just saying, become a go-giver. And I think there are many of us disciples out there that just keep keep helping as many people get what they want. And it really does come back to you tenfold.
Absolutely. All right, Tom. Well, I hate to end this, but I really want to thank you for joining me today and sharing all this great wisdom with our audience. I know you have a couple resources that we will put in the show notes below, and one specifically is your networking calendar. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because I looked at that and I thought that was brilliant.
I did, since I'm a lot of different places, especially in the Northwest suburbs with different chambers, engaging speakers, different networking organizations. I've got a separate calendar, networking with GLM calendar, that just shows what's going on in the area. It's on our website, goglm.com, in the contact section, but there's a direct link that'll be down below in the notes. But it's just all the different networking that I might be going to, that I'll probably be going to. So I don't know if that makes you want to go to it or not, but I'll probably be there, and that's there. And that just coincides with my regular calendar and my family calendar. And it's I got a great tip from you on how to use Google today. So this is great. I've learned a lot. Upstream, downstream referral partners. This is great. Man, I can't wait to listen to this one and learn more.
Because you weren't present, right? Let's listen to it over, see what we can learn. Well, I learned from you that you can so I just recently started using a Google Calendar because my other calendar wasn't dependable, and I won't even get into that nightmare, but it was the last year of just crazy things popping in and out of my calendar. But it took me a while to integrate into the Google Calendar. But what I love, and I learned from you, is you can, and I knew we can create separate calendars, but you can, if you have one specific calendar, you can take that calendar alone and embed it onto your website. And it's very easy. You just go into Google on your calendar and you get the embed code and you put it in your website, or have your web guy do it. But you did that. And now when people go to your website, it's another great resource. Not only can they stalk you, but they can also meet some other great people, because I know you are a master networker in the Chicagoland suburbs.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And coming from you, it is truly a compliment. What a fun podcast. I especially liked your guest. He was amazing.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, how about it? But I really appreciate your questions. And this is really great. I've become a fan as I've been listening to more and more of your podcast. You ask great questions, and you really find some really wonderful people with great advice. So keep up the good work.
Good guys like Mr. Tom Gosche. Thank you, Tom. And I really appreciate you joining us and sharing your wisdom. And I will see you at the next networking event.
Good. See you then.
All right. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.